Hey, welcome back you beans to another video here on the channel. Hopefully you're having a fantastic day. Today's episode I'm going to bring you 5 tips on Crystal Isles, especially for you new console players that are jumping on the map. I've just finished the series where we beat the last boss with the community server, so I just want to give you guys some tips. Before we start the tips though, I just want to make sure if you like the video, please leave a like, leave a comment down below on what you think, and subscribe if you're new. I mean, we've got some good series coming out. We're about to do the complete Ark saga, which is going to be from the island to Genesis, all in one series. It's going to be fantastic. Hopefully see you along on that ride, and you can also join the servers. Okay, so let's get into this. Number 1, building. Where should you build your base on the Crystal Isles? It's a very good question. Now, I would recommend 2 places. For PvP, this is PvE. For PvP, it's a completely different ball game, and you just build where you can build. I guarantee most of the places are took. But on PvE, if you're starting this out with some friends or by yourself, I recommend first of all being over in this location. We're in the bottom left-hand corner of the map. Sorry, it's like all the little islands of crystal. This place is one of the safest places to build. You could build literally anywhere. I'd recommend like literally right here. We do have coordinates if you like the location of this area, 65, 25. Like this little area down here. Look how even this land is. You could build a huge base here. I normally like to build on these rocks. And obviously the only thing that I have to worry about is the wyverns, but they don't attack. So, I mean, it's not too bad at all. So this whole area, the little islands, just sort of like separated by a decent sized rivers. This whole area, the further back that you go, the better. Yeah, I think this whole area is great. Now, if you're playing on a massive map, you may want to build all the way over here. If you're playing with a lot of people, if you've got like a tribe or something, if you colonate this last map, which is 8319, it's the very last island in the bottom corner of the map. This would be a great spot. There's some resources on here, a lot of room to expansion, and even if on PvP, you'll see them coming. So, I mean, right over here is a good spot. Second spot I recommend, and it's where I built on my series, is right here. I mean, this area is fantastic. It's on top of this hill. We're currently at 6635, as you can see. And the way you get up here, you have to come up. I mean, at first, you only ever really have to do this until you've got flyers, because you can get cryopods and all that. So you have to, like, get on down there. To get down there, you have to get up over there. So let me come all the way over here for you. So you come up here. You walk around here. You go up here. Around. This is so long to get up here. You follow this maze all the way around here. Up this little path. All the way spiraling around. And eventually you'll get to this point. And I built right here. This is where my base was. My main base with a few dinos. So I had dino storage down there. So I built my base here. And then over here I had the breeding center. I just had this huge breeding area for dinos. You've got a bit of water up here. So I mean, I covered over this. But you could have water from over here if you want to put your base there. And I mean, this is like perfectly awesome area. You've got some resources straight here. So you've got like the crystal and metal right here. And your entrance, you've got some more crystal and stuff. And then just over here, on this next one, there's a ton of metal. I mean, this is like the biggest metal resource I found on this map. Really good. This helped me build so much. Ton of crystal over here. You do get blood wyverns over here, so be careful. But that is like the 2 areas here. And the last area that I'm going to recommend is the floating islands. Now, you can take your pick with the floating islands. I mean, the majority of these are a decent size. I've built over on that one before right there. But if you want to go into the cave where the rock drakes used to spawn, but obviously don't if you're on console, you got these big gems right here. Just keep looking at the coordinates. And then you have these waterfalls. So you're just going to go underneath these big gems. There's this waterfall. And somewhere in here there is an entrance. There we go. And then this is where the rock drakes spawned. But obviously rock drakes are not spawning now. Let me gamma up for you guys. So this is a nice little covered area that you can build. I mean, it's huge in here. This whole cavern is huge. Nothing spawns in here. So, I mean, it's just like a dead zone. You could just claim this as your base. And it goes on for ages. You got all this area. You've also got stuff around the other side. So, if you follow it down the other path, it leads out into like a more open space. You got loads of rock drake nests, but obviously they don't spawn. I mean, this whole area is immense. Floating Islands definitely worth it, especially towards endgame when you've got flyers, because Floating Islands you'll be very close to a bunch of resources. Some really good resources at that mountain there. Some really good resources over in this area, and most definitely the best resources are over in the Eldridge Isles. So the Floating Islands is definitely a good spot to come to build your base. So that's the first tip. Tip number 2, get yourself a wyvern. Wyverns are the easiest wyverns to get on all the varks on this map. You could do it before you even got a flyer, but I would recommend waiting until you got a pterodon. So basically, the two methods that you could do, you could tame the crystal wyverns with primal crystal. How you do that is you find either a crystal wyvern, which just randomly will spawn over in that biome, and that biome over there, these two biomes. You knock them out, you trap them, knock them out, and take crystals off their back. You don't have to kill them, you just need to knock them out and press E. Instead of getting wyvern milk, you get crystals. That's the normal wyverns. There's something called wyvern heirs, which if you're lucky enough, we'll see one right here. Wyvern heirs normally spawn around this rock here. As you can see, there's a bunch of nests. Here we go. These are wyvern heirs, and they have little skulls on the face, so we're going to let them get closer in creative mode so they won't hit us. They've got little skulls on the face, which is very cool, and you can basically knock these out and get a bunch more primal crystals. Now, you can use them primal crystals to either trap a regular crystal wyvern and tame it passively by pressing E, or you get a grappling hook, grapple up onto them, and then keep pressing E when they need to feed you. Put the crystal in your last slot and feed them like a normal passive tame. Or alternatively, which is the method that I prefer to do, you can grab eggs. So for example, there are two nests right here. The nests spawn all over this place, but the longer that people are on the map, the more that spawn. It seems like at first not many spawn. But you got like a level 68 there, which is the Ember Crystal. And as you see, it says it's a Crystal Heir because it was laid by the Crystal Heirs, but it only hatches into a normal Crystal Wyvern. You will get these Wyvern eggs up to level 260, I think. You get basically the max level Wyvern egg. So because you can passively tame the Wyverns, you can get a 180, passively tame it with the Primal Crystal, which is the kibble, and then you'll get like a 260 tame. Well, you could do that with these eggs. Basically, these eggs, you can get up to 260 if you're on difficulty 6, and they'll be, what would it be? It'd be 240, is that max? On official? 150, half of 150 is 75, plus 75 onto 150. 120, 225, okay. That makes sense. So 225 is the max on official, but if you're on difficulty 6, you can get up to 270. Sorry, not 280. So that's tip number 2. As soon as you get a flyer, get a wyvern. They're super easy. And then when you do get the wyverns, make sure you start breeding them. That is a tip because you're going to need them a lot in the future. So start your mutations and your boss preparations by mutating the crystals, the ember, and the other wyvern that I can't remember the name of. The water wyvern. Yeah, I have no clue why I can't remember that name. Okay, so tip number 3 is about taming the Tropio. Now, the Tropio is a pain in the ass, in my opinion. There's a lot of guides out there on how to tame them. I've done a guide myself, if you want to check that out. But just to quickly go over it, a Tropios you will find on this part of the map, which is like the bog biome, bottom right-hand corner. They will mainly spawn over here. You still get them in like the volcano biome. But basically, you want to come over to this biome, and when you see one, you have to use these to trap them, because they're a passive tame, and as soon as you hit them, they'll fly off or feed them or whatever. So basically, you put one of these down, and it will be flying around, so it's going to be a pain to get this right. But you do have the 30 seconds to pick up. You put this down, and then you wait for it, and as you can see, it's taking me a while. This is what I mean about it being a pain. Okay, we can pick that up, and then get the bag. You need a lot of bowlers for this, so I've got 40 with me, but I'm in creative mode, so... but you're going to need a lot. So we're going to put this down a little bit closer. Quickly, you're going to put this in. And then, bam. So that was probably a really bad position. Because what you want to do then, is you want to put these around it. But because I may have messed up, which I have most definitely messed up right now. I most definitely messed that up. It was too close to the edge. So we're going to try again. Obviously, it's a lot closer this time. Going to bowler it up like that. And this is what you're supposed to do. So basically, you want to use behemoth gates, which, I mean, it's a little bit of a mess. So you want to just quickly chuck these down quite close to each other. Maybe leave a little bit of a gap. And then do that. Okay. Hopefully, if you're a little faster than me, once you've trapped it in the gates, you can either use large gates, normal dinosaur gates, or you use behemoth gates. Dinosaur gates might be easier, but you have to do them at angles and try and trap it in there. So once you've done that, oh, you're going to miss. You want to shoot this guy again so he gets stuck. And then you want to start passively feeding it mutton. So every 30 seconds after this, you want to shoot it again. Okay, on my rates, I tamed it straight away. So what you want to do is you want to feed it mutton. You want to run back, jump on the ballista after 30 seconds. You shoot it again, and it gets stuck again. You go back, and you wait. All this time, you count it to 30 seconds. If it needs mutton, you feed it more mutton. If not, you run back, just before 30 seconds, shoot it again, and then you're going to keep doing that until you fully tamed it. Tropios are, in my opinion, a pain to tame passively, but with that trick, you should be able to passively tame them a lot easier. So basically, you find one, you put this down, you shoot it, you either put big gates like this down or little gates around it in like a square and try and trap it with a gate going across it, which is a little bit more difficult because placement's a little bit difficult. Once it's in there, you start shooting it to keep it in place. You run up. So if it was here, it would be perfect. You feed it some mutton, you run back, 30 seconds later, shoot it again, run back, feed it mutton, do that until you're done. It's so much easier with kibble though, so I'd recommend you getting kibble. Tip number 4 is all about them easy resources. Now, there's a few ways to get black pills, silica pills, metal, crystal, obviously crystals all over the place, and element. So in the Eldritch Isles, and this is why I said that the floating islands is a good option to start building, because you can just come over to Eldritch Isles. In Eldritch Isles, you get element shards from these little rocks here. So if you hit these with a pickaxe, just like this, see that? You get a crystal, an element, a green, a blue gem, and a red gem. Easy element shards, which is good if you got a tech replicator over in the floating islands, because then you can just come over and it's all great. Also, like I said, black pills and silica pills. Now I've done a guide on this. The guide will be linked down below and up in the top corner, how to get black pills and silica pills easy, but I'll show you one of the methods. There's 2 or 3 methods on this map. You come over to Eldritch Isles and you've got these big floating water. Now these waters are dangerous. You go in here and you just look around, and as you can see, there's a ton of stuff that can try and attack you. We've got some piranhas, but these are black pills, so you grab these and you get yourself some black pills. There's also going to be silica pills if you're lucky around the bottom, and some other stuff, but as you can see, there's a ton of black pills. If you could survive everything, because you have piranhas, you have the cinder, whatever they're called, the freaking evil jellyfish, you have eels in here. There's a lot of evil stuff that will be in here in each one of these bubbles, and each one of these bubbles is different, but sometimes you get silica pills and black pills. But there is a lot easier way to get these if you didn't want to risk your life every time coming over here. So I would link that video down below and up top if you want to check out them ways. But yeah, tip number 4, get yourself some easy resources. I mean, build close to these resources. They're super easy to get. A lot easier than a lot of maps, for example. Okay, so the final tip is about the boss fights. Now I'm going to use some footage from my series that I've done where we're taking on the boss. I recommend using wyverns. Maybe a UT to pair her up. You can do it with Rexes, but most of the fight is in the sky. So once the wyvern takes a quarter damage, and all gamma, beta, and alpha, it will start flying, and it will land again at about half health, but then it will fly again, and the last hit would normally be in the air. So it doesn't actually land that much. It's mainly in the sky. So you need flyers. Wyverns are really good. If you can put a bunch of health and melee into your wyverns through breeding, you'll have a better chance. If you've got more than one person, you'll have a much better chance because you can coordinate a little bit more. Someone could be on a UT. But I would recommend using wyverns. Just do like 7 of each or something. I don't know. And then like a few extras of whichever one you want. They will survive. The boss fights are not too difficult, but they are very long-winded if you're on your own. With the server, it took us a good 20-30 minutes for it to happen. As you can see from the footage, it took us a while to get that health down, and we was using a lot of overpowered stuff. We was using overpowered wyverns from mass breeding, and was using Ember Utis from the mods, Ember Dionicus, which do some serious bleed damage to the wyvern queens. So that's my last tip for you guys. If you're going to do the boss fights, make sure you just take an army of wyverns. They will handle it. It might take a little bit of a time, and the alpha will definitely be a push. So make sure you're stacking their mutations. Get as many as you can. Always have a backup. Make sure they're all imprinted. And if you've got a squad, makes it a hell of a lot easier. Anyways, I know these seem like a little bit of like obvious tips, but I mean, Crystal Isles has not much to do, so I've done the like 8 things to do in Crystal Isles, which I mentioned some of these in. And I thought it'd be a good idea to do the 5 tips for Crystal Isles for you PvE players, and maybe some of these tips will correspond with the PvP community. I'm not too sure though. But anyways, guys, that is the video. If you found it useful, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to become a human being, and I'll see you in the next episode. Have a fantastic day. Peace.